Most people are looking for distressed properties. That's exactly what I look for on a daily basis. But everyone is kind of shying away for this type of property that I'm going to share with you guys. In the REI Beginner Series, we have covered topics like mindset, how to generate seller leads, how to prepare for an appointment, what to bring as far as contracts and what to say on these appointments, follow-up process, and exit strategies. And these are all important, but guys, I wanted to be practical and show exactly how they apply to this deal that we got in Brookline. We closed on it, but all these steps apply perfectly to it. The first video in our REI Beginner Series was mindset, and I want to go back to mindset because on our Brookline property, mindset mattered a lot. This was a very unique deal overall. At Whiteacre, we typically focus on wholesales and fix and flips and buy and hold rental properties. However, this lead that we got was about a rooming house. So very different than anything we've done before. So when we got this lead, we actually got super excited about it, just like every lead that we get, because it's an opportunity to go meet with a seller. It's an opportunity to submit an offer and buy a real estate, right? But then we realized that this is an expensive property, right? So it's very different from what we buy on a daily basis. So that's one. And two, it's not the typical fix and flip project. It's not a typical rental. This was a rooming house with 13 bedrooms. So the first thing, got excited, then we got scared and we got a little worried about, we would love to buy it, but it's very expensive. It's definitely out of our comfort zone because we have never done it before. So what do we do next? And that's where mindset comes in. It's easy to say, you know what, I don't know anything about it. Let me just pass on this deal. There is plenty more. Too complicated, too expensive. Let somebody else handle it. I'll focus on what I know. And that's fine. I think we do that on a daily basis where we're extremely focused on our fix and flips. However, if we are growing as investors and if we want to learn more, we want to challenge ourselves. So what I did is I reached out to my network of people that own rooming houses. I made a few phone calls. I asked them about the bad, the good, what do they recommend, what should I do, who should I learn from? So I got educated on it. And by being educated, I got confident about the next step. And the next step for me was running numbers. 13 bedrooms, how much rent can this bring in? Can I keep the license as a rooming house once I purchase it? What permits do I need to pull? Like all of the extra details. And I realized that this property can actually bring a ton of income and can cover my mortgage and cash flow at the end of the day. So then I got excited, right? I went from being scared and worried because I didn't know what I was doing to being confident after being educated to now owning this property and being extremely motivated to do it again and again. So guys, this mindset applies to every deal, but this was a really good one that I wanted to share with you because it just made the difference between closing on it or giving up on it. Guys, making money in real estate investing, it comes down to the activities that you do on a daily basis. And the number one priority for you and activity should be generating leads, right? The ability to generate leads consistently is just the number one thing. When I started out, the few things I did was go on Bigger Pockets and network with other local investors. I became part of a mastermind early on because I wanted to be surrounded by people that are actually where I want to be in 5 or 10 years, right? So I became part of the mastermind. I got coaching from other people that are successful at real estate investing. But if you're just starting out, share with everyone, share it with the world. What do you do? And for me, it's obviously buying houses, being a real estate investor. Everyone I meet, I talk about it. Everyone I interact with knows exactly what we do. It's on my truck, it's on my shirt, it's here at the office building, it's everywhere, right? I have the business cards with it, so everything says that we buy houses. So the message is very clear to everyone I meet. So that's why now we got these leads coming to us from agents and wholesalers and everybody else that's in the business because they know what we do. So I want to make sure you guys do the same. Come to the meetups, talk and network with others, but pretty much tell everyone what you do. And it's hard starting out to do that. And it goes back also a little bit to mindset because you start out doing real estate investing as a hobby or part-time, right? So you don't think of that as being your full-time career. But being focused on it and telling everybody that you are buying real estate is going to make a huge difference. And it's going to put you in the capacity to generate leads, right? And the most important thing is to be able to generate leads consistently. Because from leads, you go to appointments, you go to buying houses at a discount. So I shared with you guys how this lead came to us. Next step though for us is to connect with that seller and schedule an appointment. We just got a lead that someone is selling, but no one actually introduced us to the seller. So Bruno, the acquisition manager in this case, he called the seller. Never talked to her before, and pretty much in the next 30 seconds, he tried to let her know what we do, who we are, the fact that we buy houses, that we are professional. I think there was some resistance on the phone from the seller because he called out of the blue. And how did he know that the house was for sale, right? So he had to overcome some objections there. Bruno did a really good job. He got the seller to stay on the phone. She listened to him. And then I think she gave him a chance to meet face to face in a couple of weeks. Most important thing here is cold calling works, and then you got to follow up. I think he followed up in a week or so, scheduled the appointment, and invited the seller here at the office, but she decided to actually meet at the property, which is great because it gives us a chance to see the house. One thing I want to mention to you guys, especially if you're doing cold calling, don't try to be a telemarketer, right? Be yourself. There's nothing special that we say on the phone. We just introduce ourselves and the company and we say, look, we're looking to buy a house. Do you know anyone that's selling? Pretty much that. Nothing more fancy, nothing crazy, right? But be yourself. You really are not trying to sell anyone on anything. If they have a property for sale, great, you can be a buyer. If they don't have a property for sale, no problem, no big deal. But I get these calls from wholesalers and other people that sound desperate for a deal. They sound like they're telemarketers. So if you are doing cold calling, be yourself, be natural. There's nothing bad that's gonna happen from it. So how to prepare for the appointment? Once we schedule the appointment, next thing we do is create a CMA. For you guys that are agents, you know exactly what that means, but it's a comparative market analysis. We do that in-house because we are agents. We have access to the MLS, but if you're not an agent yourself, then you go and hire someone or work with someone that is very experienced in the area. A CMA will give you the data and the information of what's sold in the neighborhood as far as what property is sold in the area similar to the subject property that you have an appointment for. Next, we get the assessed value. We go online and find out what is the assessed value of the property. We want to know the legal number of units. Is it a single family? Is it a multi-family? So we want to understand how many units are in this building legally. Then we go on Google, search for the property, look at a view of the exterior, right? If there is a Google view of it, that helps us tremendously, at the neighborhood. So that matters. Where is this property located? The last thing we do is we calculate roughly what we think this property will need in renovations, because it's important to know if it's going to be 200,000 worth of rehab or it's going to be 20,000, right? It can be obviously both extremes. And we do that by looking at the exterior view. Sometimes the exterior shows that the house is run down, but a lot of it comes from the conversation with the seller over the phone. Because sometimes they tell us, I haven't updated kitchen, I haven't updated bathrooms, I haven't done anything in 50 years. Well, that gives us an idea what needs to be done. So we collect all this information and then we put a dollar amount as far as what our cash offer will be even before we go on the appointment. Now that you have the CMA, you have all the data you need and you have a rough idea what the cash offer is, you have to go on the seller appointment and meet the seller face to face. We are early for the appointment. That's one thing we do. You don't want to be late for it, obviously. Meet the seller at the house. Hopefully you gave them a heads up that you're coming and what to expect from the appointment. That's important. Sometimes people think that you're going to go there with a suitcase full of cash. So you got to let them know what happens at the appointment. And ideally you do that on the phone, maybe the day of the appointment or the day before, but you need to educate the seller on that process. On the seller appointment, we don't do anything special other than try to build a rapport with the homeowner. That's a human being. We want to create that one-on-one personal relationship. At the end of the day, real estate is about those human relationships. That's all it is. The house and making a profit, that comes secondary, but building a rapport with somebody, that's super important because they need to trust you in this process. I mean, guys, think about it. They're selling this property to you worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's probably the biggest sale they ever done, right? It's not something they do on a daily basis. So the sellers want to work with someone they like and trust. It's as simple as that. And that's how we, on our seller appointment, that's how we build these relationships. So we focus on that first, and then we ask some questions about the property. Obviously, we want them to give us a tour of the house. We go around, look at the property, but one thing we're not doing is we're not pointing out things that are wrong with the house. Like if there is a leak here, or if there is trash, or the house is not clean, we don't bring that up. And sometimes sellers feel uncomfortable when we are in in their house when a house is dirty, because they realize that. But we say, you know what, we have seen worse, this is nothing, don't even worry about it. We're just here to talk to you and see if we can actually work a solution to anything you need. Build a relationship, do the walkthrough, so now you know what the property looks like. The next step would be to sit down, kitchen, living room. Don't end up in the attic or the basement. Typically that's where you end up, but bring the person back to an area where they actually sit down with family and where they make decisions, right? You don't want to talk outside or any of those other weird places. Sit down, talk about what they need. For us, it's never, hey, great meeting with you, this is our cash offer. It's never like that. We want to find out, what are they trying to do? Why did they call us? How fast they want to sell? Why do they want to sell? What's important to them on the sale of the property? And only after you ask all those questions as far as the timeline and everything that's important to them, then you propose a solution. 90% of the cases, sellers are not ready to make a decision right there and then. So what we do is we say, thank you for your time. We are here. We'll follow up in a couple of weeks. Would love to work with you, but think it over, let me know. Following up is the next most important thing to do right now. A lot of people get distracted and they don't follow up with sellers after that. For us, we are very focused on reaching out, making sure that we answer any questions they have, any concerns, any price adjustments, and then sign the contract. For example, in Brookline, Bruno sat down with the seller. He did go through the walkthrough with her. I wasn't presently there, so I'm not sure how much relationship he built, but knowing what happens next, I think that he did everything perfectly, because the seller did trust him and she canceled the contract, or she didn't move forward with the listing with the other agent. And what I realized, or what Bruno shared, is that seller liked the idea of not paying commissions. She liked the fact that we could close whenever she needs to. And the reason for that is that she had tenants that had lived in the property for many years. And we said, we'll close whenever you're ready, but we need the property vacant. So she had to give those tenants, I think, 3 or 4 months time for them to find another property. So we were extremely flexible on closing time, which gave her confidence and obviously made her accept the offer because of how flexible we were on timelines. The next thing would be the as-is. Obviously, we did the walkthrough. Not much was wrong with the property. We knew we had to do updates, but to her was important because we had no inspections and we had no mortgage contingency. So those two things made her comfortable enough in what we are proposing, and at the end of the day, she was going to save on commission. So again, guys, listen to what seller needs and propose a solution to their needs. That's going to guarantee you a signed contract. That's what we did there. He got the contract signed and there was some follow-up. I don't think he signed it on the spot. If I'm not mistaken, maybe it was a 2 or 3 week follow-up, because the seller also involved their attorney to prepare the contract. So that's fine. We worked with her, got it closed, but there was obviously follow-up back and forth to address any issues or concerns that the seller had. Before I share with you guys the exit strategy in Brookline, let me mention really quick what are the different exit strategies for any lead or any deal that comes our way. Wholesaling is one, fix and flip is another, buy and hold rentals is another one, wholesale, and then developments, especially in the city of Boston, but I mean anywhere in Massachusetts. Those 5 are exit strategies that we apply on a daily basis to any lead that come our way. Why it's important for you guys is that it's good to be aware of what's out there and what you can do with a property. When I started out, all I did was fix and flips. But by doing that, I missed out on a ton of opportunity on the buy and hold side. At this point, we probably would have owned a lot more houses and units if we started buying rentals early on. Instead, we focused strictly on fix and flips, and we missed out on wholesales, we missed out on wholesales, and the buy and hold rentals. So I think great investors know about all these strategies, and any lead that comes their way, then they can apply it and choose a unique exit strategy where they're going to make more money long term, right? That's the whole idea. So out of the 5 exit strategies that I mentioned to you guys, we decided to go with the buy and hold rental when it comes to the Brookline property. We could have made money wholesaling this property. We could have made money fix and flipping it. It wasn't a development deal. I don't think it would make much sense tearing it down, rebuilding it, or maybe building an addition. The numbers didn't pencil out. But we specifically decided to own it as a rental property because of the location. Brookline It's a prime location. This house is right next to Boston University. So you can't beat that location, and the prices in that area obviously continue to go up. It's a very, very desirable area. So by us owning it long term, we benefit from the appreciation. Prices going up, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is that we get huge tax advantages by owning real estate like that when it's a rental, and it offsets our income from the fix and flip. So we get huge tax benefits from owning real estate long term. The third thing is that by owning it and having tenants in there, they're going to be paying down our mortgage. So there's going to be debt that gets paid down every month, right? And on top of that, we get cash flow from it. Because this rooming house has 13 bedrooms, we're going to have a lot of income on a monthly basis. That's going to pay the mortgage, it's going to pay for repairs, the insurance, and all the expenses. And we're going to get cash flow on top of that, right? So cash flow, it's something that's going to come to us on a monthly basis, which is great because that's something we'd love to have down the road when we retire. And right now, this cash flow helps us running this business. Buy and hold will help you guys build wealth in real estate long term. I could tell the difference when I was just fix and flipping and making those quick profits to now that we own rental properties. We are, obviously, it's a faster way to build wealth when you own real estate, and this is exactly why we made the decision to keep it. But also when we are borrowing and working with banks, now they see our portfolio of rentals, and that makes us stronger borrowers and stronger investors. So that's all I got for you today. Hopefully this is helpful. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. I want to know what you guys are thinking and what you're struggling with. And I would love to invite you guys to the meetup event. We have one every month. It's a networking event. We hang out with other local investors and just talk real estate. And then we bring a speaker pretty much that covers a different topic. So it's great for networking. It's great for learning. Click on the link below to RSVP and catch you guys on the next one.